I don't want to pick on Jordan Peterson, but I want to pick on Jordan Peterson. I am not somebody to go after somebody for being religious. In fact, I grew up in a Protestant household. I still have religious sympathies. I consider myself religious in the way that Norm Macdonald was religious. I'm an aspiring Christian. I'd like to believe. I'd like to. I'd really like to, please. So I'm very sympathetic. I'm sympathetic to the comfort that it provides. I'm sympathetic to some of the community that it provides. I'm not sympathetic to a lot of the ideology that it has ended up paying shelter to. But I am sympathetic to a lot of what religion can do for people and for people's innate desire to try to search for answers and meaning in all of this. And so I'm not somebody who I wouldn't consider myself anti-religious or anti-theist, right? But listening to Jordan Peterson speak on this issue, trying to defend Christianity, it like radicalizes me in a way that I imagine scrolling through Twitter and seeing all these race bait violence radicalizes some other people. When people see like somebody of a different race like get in a fist fight with somebody not with no context of what led up to this, and boom, and you're just getting angry on Twitter constantly. Twitter is like 30% race bait porn and like violent porn. It's just horrible. But I imagine that feeling that those people get that follow those accounts for whatever godforsaken reason, that's the feeling that I'm getting when I watch this video. I watched the first minute and I immediately knew I had to finish it on stream. Again, even from a religious perspective, trying to speak with Jordan Peterson in a way that is clear and concise and not belabored and not just ridiculous is just so hard. Listen to this.
So
I just don't know how he's so beloved by so many.
So do you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition. What do you mean when you say you believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
I said you think it to be true.
All right. So if you believe something, you stake your life on it.
What do you mean by that?
You live for it and you die for it. That's what I mean by that. It isn't something that you say. It isn't something that's associated with logical consistency. It's not declarative. It's not propositional. It's not a figment of your imagination. It's the presupposition of your attention and your action. And you're either fragmented, in which case you worship multiple gods, or there's some unity at the bottom of it that makes you an unstoppable force.
Okay, so you're saying that you...
Why not just say, I don't know, because I think so, but I wouldn't stake my life on it, or like something like, just simplify it instead of all this belabored, what do you mean by truth, and what do you mean by believe, and what do you mean by, just like cut through it all. This isn't a private tutor session. There's cameras here, there's an audience here.
You don't believe something if you wouldn't die for it?
Not really, no.
Okay. So then,
how would you define belief? Something you say?
Well, can I explain? Like, I could believe it is the case that this pen exists, but if someone like threatened my life, right, I would lie in order to be able to save my life, right? Like, I think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your life?
Don't be so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life?
How much do you know about me? I didn't lie to save my career.
My gosh, man, dude, it's such a, they were trying to go down a certain dialogue tree, like, okay, so do you believe in God? And it was like, well, when my job in Canada was threatened as a professor, do you or do you not believe in God? This is a religious debate. This is a religious debate. Look how quickly this has derailed the conversation completely away from wherever it was headed in just over a minute.
I didn't lie to save my clinical practice.
Would you lie to like save your children, your mom, your dad?
I don't think lying would save them.
No, can there ever be a...
God will know. He'll know.
circumstance logically that lying could save someone.
Yeah, and if you're steeped in sin, you're likely to live in circumstances like that.
Why does he look like he's grinding? Look at his expression. He's strained.
Could save someone.
Yeah, and if you're steeped in sin, you're likely to live in circumstances like that.
He just laid out a scenario. Okay. Here's a scenario. There's a burglar that goes into, there's a crazed man that goes in your home. He's like, I'm killing all the left-handed people. You left-handed. Now you're left-handed. No, I'm not. Oh, you're steeped in sin. Oh, if you say you're right, if you say you're right-handed, you're gonna, like, I know this is a silly scenario, but all we had to do is create a scenario where, you know, it would be reasonable to lie here. But why are we even talking about this? It was a conversation about whether or not he believed in God, and it's now just staked on, well, do I really believe in God? Because would I die for God? It seems like a way to wiggle out of answering whether he believes or not by just questioning the concept of belief.
I'll give you an example. If you're like in like Nazi Germany, and it is the case that there's like Jewish people in your attic and you're trying to protect them, would you lie to like the Nazis?
I would have done everything I bloody well could so I wouldn't be in that situation to begin with.
Whoa, wait, would he not say no? There's no Anne Frank in the cellar? Really?
The Nazis?
He would refuse. The Nazis would ask, where are they? And he would just go silent. He would say, what you're about to do, Mr. Hans, is very rude, but I'm a man of conviction. So right this way, sir.
I would have done everything I bloody well could so I wouldn't be in that situation to begin with. It's a hypothetical, and it's not answerable.
Hypotheticals?
It's not answerable.
No, I can't answer a hypothetical.
What do you mean? How is a hypothetical not answerable? You could answer it, and it could just be a bad hypothetical, but it's a perfectly answerable hypothetical. What would you lie to protect Nazis in the hall? It's like it's such a crazy hypothetical. People did that. That happened. Nazis would go to your home. They would ask you where they are. They'd say, I don't know. They would leave, and you did know. You just hid them. People risked their lives doing that. He was like, oh, it was a crazy hypothetical. It happened. It's like, hypothetical. The Japanese attack a port in Hawaii. Like, what do you mean a hypothetical? That happened.
Look.
Is it a possible hypothetical? It happened.
Don't play games.
I'm not playing games. I'm just asking if you ate it.
If you present me with an intractable moral choice that's stripped of context and you back me into a corner, you're playing.
Then place it into the context of World War II. You want a scene in a place, 1942, south of France, May 12th. Okay, there's your scene in context.
Game. I just told you I would do everything that I could to make sure that I'm never in that situation. By the time you've got there, you've made so many mistakes that there's nothing you can do that isn't a sin.
Being born.
But if you're born into a civilization that has that anti-Semitism or has a problem, that's not your fault. You're trying to do the best that you can with the hand that you were dealt, using the tools at your disposal, including deception.
In Nazi Germany, in trying to protect people that you care about, like there could be a Jewish friend that you have, and you want to protect them.
I think you should just give up on that line of questioning.
Give up on just like trying to clarify your position, because you don't like. Are you like uncomfortable with me asking this question? It's just a basic hypothetical. Like I could ask you.
It's just a basic hypothetical where you put Jews' lives at stake in Nazi Germany. That's just a basic hypothetical.
Obviously, you would lie in that scenario to save their life, but you're like,
God, why are you so whiny about it? It's just a basic hypothetical. I mean, it's a thing that happened. Then don't make it a hypothetical. Say, oh, if this happened again. Okay, what should they have done? What should they have done?
Like not trying to answer this question for some reason.
I just told you why.
Are you anti-fascist? Like, so you're
why
anti-fascist?
Why are you asking that?
I was just asking, just clarifying. But like, okay, again, you're not answering this hypothetical because you know it shows that you clearly would lie to save someone's life.
I'm answering it in a manner you don't find acceptable.
Obviously, because I care about truth.
I wouldn't be in that scenario.
Obviously, right? Logically, because that's
No.
already happened. Like that's in the past. You don't have a time travel device. We're bringing this logical hypothetical up to show you that in some circumstances that do happen within the real world, you would lie to save people's lives. So your definition of truth isn't actually how we're typically using it. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to muddy the waters when I ask you, like, do you believe this? Do you think this to be true? So you don't actually have to answer the questions. And plenty of Christians don't like that because they clearly see that you don't really like want to be associated with
I can
Christianity.
imagine that I was in a situation where the best I could do as a consequence of my previous mistakes was to tell the least amount of lie I could manage. But that would likely
Don't know why Jubilee loves Poland so much and they're repping the Polish flag in the left corner here, but I mean, you know, that's cool. Poland's cool.
indicate that I had made all sorts of catastrophic errors on my way there.
So you would lie to save someone's life. So again, you do believe it to be true in that circumstance, even though you like lied in that scenario. So
Not
clearly
without the
that's not what you see to be true.
context that I put it in.
You were not willing to die for it.
said-
You were not willing to let other people die for it. So that's not what you see to be true then, seemingly.
You're doing exactly what I said you were doing at the beginning of the conversation. You're generating an impossible, restricted, hypothetical with no precursors to back me into a
How is
corner.
it possible? Is there something contradictory about it? Nice to meet you.
It's impossible. He talked about a thing that happened. How's it impossible hypothetical? It happened. It happened. My goodness. He look, Jordan was in a corner and he didn't know what to do. And so he just refused to engage. That's what I think. I think he just refused to engage. He knew that the best way to win or the best way to play was to not play at all. I have met people all across the world who respect this man. I have met people on the front line of this war who respect this man. It was a guy in the right sector who would have thought that you know, like what he has to say and stuff. But man, if you put that man under scrutiny, I don't know if his basic self-help stuff is going to be, you know, cracking. I think probably his rules for life will be fine. But you get any of his geopolitical analysis, you get any of his religious, I guess, takes now, seeing that fall apart too. I'm starting to wonder, like, I mean, he has such a gigantic Soviet art collection. Could he win a debate about Soviet art? I don't even know. Just seems to do so poorly under pressure here. My goodness. What is it that made him perform so well in that one interview with that journalist back in the day and so poorly here? Is it that the media environment's evolved around him and he hasn't? That's what it feels like. Because I don't think he's any worse than what he used to be. I think it's just that he's in there with a different breed now, a young breed, a breed of young debate twinks that are taking over. And I mean, they are everywhere. They're all over social media now. Huh? People learn how to push back versus fallacies. I mean, in an environment like Jubilee, yeah. If this was another like change my mind college campus thing, maybe it'd be a little different.